Do you feel stuck in the constant loop of trying to control every detail of your life? Maybe it's planning every possible outcome or hoping things will always go as expected. This relentless need for control often leads to stress, disappointment, and even emotional pain. But what if this approach isn't helping you at all? In fact, what if letting go is the secret to finding true peace and freedom? Welcome to Life Lessons, your hub for mindfulness, inner peace, and self-growth. Today, we'll dive into why the need to control our lives often brings more harm than good. Drawing inspiration from Buddhist teachings like Impermanence and Karmic Connections, we'll uncover the wisdom of acceptance. Life, as we know it, is unpredictable. The beauty lies not in controlling it, but in embracing its natural flow and learning to let go of unrealistic expectations. This video will explore practical strategies for letting go, integrating the practice of mindfulness into your daily life, finding freedom in surrender, and understanding the power of impermanence. You'll hear inspirational stories from Buddhist teachings that illustrate why the act of letting go can transform the way we experience life. Imagine living a life free from the pressure of controlling every detail. How liberating would it feel to release your worries and embrace each moment as it unfolds? If you're ready to shift your perspective and live a life of peace and serenity, this video is for you. Before we begin, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Life Lessons. Your support helps us bring more inspiring and transformative content to people like you. And don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated. There's so much more wisdom to discover here. Let's start this journey together. Discover why letting go might be the life-changing approach you've been searching for. 1. Why do we strive to control life? The human desire to control stems from deep-seated emotions such as attachment, fear, and expectations. According to Buddhist teachings, this behavior is driven by what is known as greed, hatred, and ignorance, lobha, dosa, moha. These three poisons influence our thoughts and actions, often leading us into a cycle of pain and frustration. We cling to the idea that we can shape every moment, every relationship, and every outcome. But in doing so, we forget one profound truth: impermanence. Buddhism teaches that life is inherently impermanent. Everything, from the smallest emotions to the grandest plans, is subject to change. When we fail to accept this truth, we experience disappointment and stress. Imagine expecting perfection in every situation, only to be met with the reality of change and unpredictability. This is where expectations become the root of suffering. Instead of controlling the uncontrollable, Buddhist philosophy encourages us to embrace the flow of life and practice mindfulness. Take, for example, a famous Buddhist story. A farmer loses his horse, feeling that his life is ruined without it. But soon, the horse returns, bringing along a herd of wild horses. In hindsight, the initial loss wasn't a tragedy but a blessing in disguise. The lesson here: control is an illusion. Life unfolds in ways we can't always predict, yet often holds opportunities beyond our immediate understanding. Our desire for control also stems from fear. We fear change because it threatens our comfort and stability. But clinging to control only amplifies this fear, creating a mental prison of worry and anxiety. In contrast, practicing mindfulness, living in the present moment, can help us break free. By focusing on now, we learn to let go of the expectations and burdens that weigh us down. To transcend the need for control, Buddhism introduces the concept of non-attachment. This doesn't mean apathy, it means accepting life as it comes, without trying to hold on to what isn't meant to stay. It's an act of faith in the natural flow of karmic connections and the wisdom of impermanence. So, why do we strive to control life? Because we believe it will lead to peace. Yet, ironically, control often leads to pain. To truly find inner peace, we must acknowledge that life is impermanent. Instead of resisting change, let's embrace it, releasing expectations and discovering serenity in acceptance. 2. Buddhist teachings on impermanence. In Buddhist philosophy, the concept of impermanence is one of the most fundamental truths. Known as anicca in Pali, impermanence teaches us that everything in life, whether it's moments, relationships, or material possessions, is subject to constant change. Nothing remains the same forever. This understanding is key to freeing ourselves from unnecessary pain and disappointment. Why is impermanence so crucial to the human experience? For many, the desire to hold on to things or control outcomes stems from the fear of losing what we value. We cling to expectations, hoping life will stay predictable and stable. But this attachment only leads to suffering. When changes occur, whether in the form of loss, unexpected events, or shifts in circumstances, our rigid expectations are shattered. Instead of flowing with life, we resist it, creating even more emotional turmoil. According to Buddhism, acceptance of impermanence is the antidote to this suffering. By recognizing that change is inevitable, we can learn to embrace life as it comes, without clinging to the past or fearing the future. This doesn't mean we stop caring or striving for goals. It means we approach life with a flexible mindset and practice mindfulness, staying rooted in the present moment. A Buddhist analogy often used to illustrate impermanence is the image of a flowing river. A river is never the same twice, it's constantly moving, reshaping, and evolving. Similarly, life flows forward, and trying to control its course is like trying to hold water in your hands. Instead of resisting, we must learn to appreciate the beauty of this natural fluidity. The teachings of impermanence also encourage us to detach from material possessions and ego. Many of us build our identities around what we own or how others perceive us. But in doing so, we tie our happiness to things that are fleeting. By letting go of this attachment and embracing impermanence, we can achieve a sense of inner peace. Additionally, impermanence shows us the importance of gratitude. When we understand that moments are temporary, we learn to savor them while they last instead of taking them for granted. This mindset helps us cultivate deeper relationships and find joy in the simple things, even in the face of uncertainty. So, how can we begin to live with the wisdom of impermanence? One powerful practice is meditation. By meditating on impermanence, we become more aware of life's transitions and develop a sense of acceptance. Another approach is to shift our focus from what we can't control to what we can, our attitude, choices, and reactions. These practices build resilience and allow us to navigate life's ups and downs with grace. Impermanence isn't something to fear, it's something to celebrate. It reminds us of the transient nature of life and teaches us to live fully, releasing expectations and embracing the present. 3. The pain of clinging to expectations. In life, we often set high expectations, for ourselves, others, and the circumstances we find ourselves in. But according to Buddhist teachings, clinging to these expectations is one of the primary sources of suffering. This form of attachment creates a gap between what we desire and what reality offers. When things don't unfold as planned, we experience disappointment, frustration, and pain. Buddhism identifies this attachment as a form of dukkha, a term that translates to suffering or dissatisfaction. At its core, dukkha arises when we resist the natural flow of life and attempt to impose our will upon it. Whether it's expecting success in every endeavor, perfection in our relationships, or stability in an ever-changing world, we are setting ourselves up for emotional turmoil. Think of a time when you worked hard on something but didn't achieve the results you hoped for. That sinking feeling of failure wasn't necessarily caused by the event itself but rather by the expectation you held. This is where the teachings of impermanence and non-attachment come into play. Buddhism reminds us that everything is temporary, our successes, failures, joy, and pain. Clinging to rigid expectations blinds us to this truth and keeps us trapped in a cycle of discontent. One common area where expectations cause pain is in relationships. We often expect our loved ones to act a certain way or fulfill specific roles. When they don't meet these expectations, we feel hurt or even betrayed. However, Buddhism encourages us to practice compassion and acceptance. By releasing our expectations, we create space for deeper connections and more authentic interactions. In practical terms, how can we let go of expectations? One approach is to cultivate mindfulness. When we are mindful, we are fully present in the moment, without judgment or attachment. This awareness allows us to see things as they truly are, not as we wish them to be. Another powerful practice is meditation. Through meditation, we train our minds to embrace the present and let go of the need for control or certainty. A powerful Buddhist parable that illustrates this idea is the story of the second arrow. The first arrow represents life's inevitable challenges and pain, while the second arrow symbolizes the suffering we create by clinging to our expectations. By learning to release the second arrow, we free ourselves from unnecessary misery. Ultimately, the pain of clinging to expectations is self-imposed. To find inner peace, we must acknowledge the impermanence of all things and learn to embrace life's unpredictability. Letting go of expectations doesn't mean giving up, it means approaching life with an open heart and a flexible mind. Only then can we truly experience freedom and happiness. 4. The art of letting go. In the face of life's uncertainties and challenges, learning the art of letting go is a transformative practice. According to Buddhist teachings, the root of much of our suffering lies in our attachment to things, people, and outcomes. We cling to the idea that controlling everything will bring us peace, yet this attachment only breeds frustration, anxiety, and disappointment. The key to letting go is rooted in the concept of non-attachment, or upadana. This doesn't mean we stop caring or become indifferent to the world around us. Instead, non-attachment teaches us to engage with life fully, but without clinging to specific results. By releasing our grip on control, we free ourselves from the emotional burden that comes with unmet expectations and the fear of losing what we hold dear. Buddhism encourages us to let go not only of material possessions but also of intangible things like ego, grudges, and regrets. These attachments weigh us down, keeping us stuck in a loop of negative emotions. For example, holding on to resentment against someone who has wronged us only prolongs our suffering. By forgiving and letting go, we reclaim our inner peace and create space for healing. Another vital component of letting go is understanding impermanence. Life is constantly changing, and clinging to what is temporary only causes unnecessary pain. Imagine trying to hold on to sand as it slips through your fingers. The tighter you grip, the faster it falls away. Similarly, when we let go of our need to control, we allow life to flow naturally, embracing its beauty and unpredictability. A practical step toward letting go is cultivating mindfulness. By staying present in the moment, we develop the ability to observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment or attachment. When we become aware of our inner tendencies to hold on, we can consciously choose to release them. Mindfulness helps us see things as they are, not as we wish them to be, allowing us to respond with clarity and wisdom. Meditation is another powerful tool for letting go. Through meditation, we quiet the mind and detach from the chaos of daily life. We learn to observe our attachments and gently release them, creating space for inner stillness. Practices like loving-kindness meditation can also help us let go of anger and cultivate compassion, both for ourselves and others. Letting go doesn't happen overnight, it's a journey that requires patience and practice. But as we gradually release our attachments, we experience a profound sense of freedom and serenity. Life becomes less about controlling every detail and more about embracing the present moment with an open heart. The art of letting go is not about giving up, it's about gaining inner peace. By understanding the transient nature of life and releasing our attachments, we can step into a space of acceptance and joy. Letting go is a gift we give ourselves, freeing us to live fully and authentically. 5. Meditation and mindfulness, the path to true peace. In a world filled with distractions, stress, and the overwhelming need to control everything, the practice of meditation and mindfulness offers a profound way to reconnect with inner peace. According to Buddhist teachings, the key to overcoming suffering lies not in changing the world around us but in transforming the way we respond to it. Through meditation and mindfulness, we cultivate an awareness that allows us to embrace life's impermanence and release the burdens of attachment. Mindfulness, or sati, is the practice of being fully present in the moment. It teaches us to observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment, helping us break free from the cycle of anxiety and expectations. Many people spend their lives dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, unaware that true serenity is only found in the present. The more we practice mindfulness, the easier it becomes to let go of unnecessary suffering and accept life as it unfolds. One of the most powerful tools for developing mindfulness is meditation. In Buddhism, meditation is more than just relaxation, it is a path to awakening. Through meditation, we learn to quiet the mind, detach from external chaos, and cultivate a sense of non-attachment. The breath, a symbol of impermanence, becomes our anchor, reminding us that life flows in and out, just like each inhale and exhale. Instead of clinging to thoughts or trying to control them, meditation teaches us to observe them and let them go. There are many forms of meditation in Buddhist practice, each offering unique benefits. Vipassana meditation, or insight meditation, helps develop deep awareness and understanding of impermanence, teaching us that everything arises and fades away. Metta meditation, or loving-kindness meditation, cultivates compassion and helps dissolve feelings of resentment, anger, and attachment. By engaging in these practices regularly, we create space for inner peace and clarity. Imagine navigating life without being overwhelmed by circumstances beyond your control. Imagine accepting challenges with equanimity instead of resistance. This is the power of mindfulness and meditation. By training the mind, we free ourselves from conditioned reactions and replace them with conscious choices rooted in wisdom. Beyond individual transformation, mindfulness impacts the way we interact with the world. It strengthens our relationships, helping us listen with presence and engage with others from a place of understanding. It reduces stress and enhances emotional resilience, giving us the strength to face life's challenges with acceptance rather than fear. Ultimately, meditation and mindfulness are not just practices, they are ways of living. They remind us that life isn't something to be controlled, it's something to be experienced. By embracing these teachings, we discover freedom in surrender, peace in presence, and wisdom in simplicity. 6. Learning to trust in karmic connections. One of the most profound teachings in Buddhism is the idea of karmic connections, the invisible threads that link people, events, and experiences in ways we often fail to see. Many of us struggle with uncertainty, fearing that if we do not control every aspect of life, things will fall apart. However, Buddhism teaches that life operates on the principle of karma. Our actions, thoughts, and intentions shape the unfolding reality around us. Instead of controlling life, we can learn to trust in the natural balance of cause and effect. The concept of karma is often misunderstood as a simple idea of reward and punishment, but in truth, it is far deeper. Every choice we make, every relationship we nurture, and every intention we set contributes to an intricate web of interconnected experiences. When we learn to let go of the obsessive need to manipulate outcomes, we begin to see how life brings us what we need at the right time, not always what we want, but what truly serves our growth. In Buddhism, trusting karmic connections is an act of faith in the universe's rhythm. It encourages us to release fear and accept that every moment, whether joyous or challenging, holds purpose. For example, have you ever faced a difficult situation only to later realize it was a turning point that led to something better? That is the nature of karma in action. Instead of resisting, we are encouraged to embrace the natural unfolding of events. This trust in karma also applies to relationships. Often, we try to force connections or chase after people who may not be meant to stay in our lives. But Buddhism reminds us that relationships come and go based on karmic balance. Some people enter our lives to teach us valuable lessons, while others stay longer to help us grow. Clinging to relationships that have reached their natural end only leads to suffering. By allowing karmic bonds to evolve naturally, we free ourselves from unnecessary pain. One practical way to cultivate trust in karmic connections is through mindfulness. By staying present and observing how life unfolds without resistance, we recognize how impermanence plays a role in guiding us. Instead of reacting with fear when things don't go our way, we can pause and ask, what lesson is this moment trying to teach me? This shift in perception transforms obstacles into opportunities for wisdom. Another powerful practice is meditation. Through meditation, we learn to surrender control and connect with life's flow. Letting go of attachment and trusting in karma allows us to move forward with peace rather than anxiety. Ultimately, life is not something to be controlled, it is meant to be experienced. By placing our faith in karmic connections, we release resistance, ease suffering, and find true inner peace. The path forward is one of trust, patience, and openness to the lessons the universe offers. 7. Buddhist stories that teach us to let go. One of the most powerful ways to understand the teachings of impermanence, non-attachment, and inner peace is through the profound stories of the Buddha himself. Throughout his life, the Buddha encountered individuals consumed by suffering, people clinging to desires, expectations, and the illusion of control. By guiding them toward wisdom and mindfulness, he revealed the path to liberation. One of the most famous Buddhist parables illustrating the importance of letting go is the story of Kisa Gotami. Kisa Gotami was a young mother who was devastated when her only child passed away. Unable to accept his death, she carried his lifeless body through the village, begging for medicine to bring him back. Her grief consumed her, making her blind to the reality of impermanence. Eventually, Kisa Gotami was directed to the Buddha, who listened compassionately to her sorrow. Instead of telling her directly that death is inevitable, he gave her a task: go to every home in the village and bring me a mustard seed from a family that has never known death. Hopeful, she went from house to house, asking for the seed. But every household had experienced loss, whether of a parent, sibling, or child. She soon realized that suffering was not hers alone, it was a universal experience. Returning to the Buddha, she understood the lesson: life is impermanent, and no amount of attachment or control can prevent change. That day, she let go of her grief and embraced the wisdom of acceptance. She became one of the Buddha's disciples, dedicating her life to teaching others about non-attachment and mindfulness. This story teaches us that clinging to what cannot be controlled only leads to pain. Whether it's possessions, relationships, or desires, everything is subject to impermanence. By learning to release expectations and live in the present moment, we ease the burden of suffering and find inner peace. Another story that highlights letting go is the parable of the glass of water. The Buddha once held a glass and asked his disciples, "How heavy is this glass?" Some answered with estimates, but he smiled and said, "The weight doesn't matter. What matters is how long you hold on to it." He explained that if we carry the glass for a few moments, it feels light. If we carry it for hours, our arm begins to ache. And if we hold it for days, the pain becomes unbearable. The glass represents attachment and worry. The longer we cling to it, the heavier the burden. But if we choose to set it down, to let go, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. Both of these stories teach a simple yet profound truth: release the burdens that no longer serve you. Trust in impermanence, practice mindfulness, and embrace the ever-changing nature of life. That is the key to true freedom and lasting serenity. 8. Practicing letting go in everyday life. Understanding the art of letting go is one thing, but applying it in daily life is where true transformation begins. In Buddhist teachings, letting go is not just an abstract concept, it is a practical approach to living with inner peace, mindfulness, and acceptance. Whether we struggle with stress, anxiety, or emotional attachments, learning to let go allows us to embrace life's impermanence and free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. One of the simplest yet most effective ways to practice letting go is through mindfulness. When we are mindful, we observe thoughts, emotions, and situations without judgment or attachment. This awareness helps us recognize when we are clinging to something, whether it's a negative thought, an unrealistic expectation, or a past mistake, and consciously choose to release it. Instead of dwelling on what we cannot change, mindfulness teaches us to focus on the present moment, where true peace exists. Another key practice is meditation. Buddhist meditation techniques such as vipassana or metta meditation help cultivate acceptance and non-attachment. In vipassana, we observe the changing nature of thoughts and sensations, realizing that everything, pain, joy, fear, is temporary. Metta meditation, or loving-kindness meditation, encourages us to send compassion toward ourselves and others, helping us let go of resentment and emotional burdens. In our relationships, letting go means releasing unrealistic expectations and accepting people as they are. Many conflicts arise because we want others to act or respond in ways that fit our desires. But Buddhism teaches that non-attachment in relationships leads to deeper connections built on compassion and understanding, rather than control or possessiveness. Practicing impermanence also helps us let go of material attachments. We often tie our happiness to possessions, status, or success, only to feel disappointed when these things change or slip away. By recognizing the temporary nature of all things, we shift our focus to inner fulfillment rather than external achievements. A powerful Buddhist metaphor for letting go is the hand holding sand. The tighter we grip, the faster it falls through our fingers. But when we open our hand, we allow the sand to rest gently. Life is much the same. Holding on too tightly leads to struggle, but releasing allows us to move forward with ease and clarity. Ultimately, letting go is not about losing, it's about gaining freedom. When we practice mindfulness, meditation, and non-attachment, we break free from the cycle of stress and suffering and step into a life of peace and acceptance. By integrating these practices into our everyday lives, we cultivate a state of inner serenity that no external force can shake. Conclusion: finding true freedom through letting go. Throughout this journey, we've explored the profound wisdom of Buddhist teachings, unraveling the truth that control is an illusion, and impermanence is the very essence of life. We often hold on to expectations, material possessions, and even emotional burdens, believing they will bring us peace. But in reality, it is non-attachment that leads to true freedom. The more we try to control life, the more suffering we create. By embracing mindfulness, practicing meditation, and trusting in karmic connections, we free ourselves from the cycle of stress and disappointment. Imagine living without the weight of unrealistic expectations, without the constant struggle against change. That is the path to inner peace, a life where we welcome the flow of existence instead of resisting it. This doesn't mean we abandon our goals or stop caring. It means we shift our perspective, approaching life with acceptance and wisdom. The Buddha's teachings remind us that everything is temporary: pain, joy, success, failure. The secret is not to hold on too tightly but to flow with the rhythm of life. If this message resonated with you, take a deep breath and reflect. What is something you can let go of today? Whether it's a worry, an attachment, or a past regret, releasing it brings clarity and serenity. Before you go, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Life Lessons. Your support allows us to continue spreading the timeless wisdom of Buddhism, helping more people discover the path to freedom and peace. Turn on the notification bell to stay updated on our latest videos. Thank you for being part of this journey. Together, let's embrace life with mindfulness and acceptance, finding peace in every moment.